2 Rules for Life. An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan Peterson is a self-help and psychology book that blends science, philosophy, mythology, and personal anecdotes to offer practical principles for living a meaningful and responsible life. The book presents 12 rules designed to help individuals navigate the complexities of existence, from standing tall with confidence to seeking truth, setting one's house in order, caring for oneself as one would for others, and finding purpose amidst suffering. Drawing on evolutionary biology, biblical stories, and real-life experiences, Peterson offers guidance on balancing order and chaos, embracing personal responsibility, and striving for a life of growth and resilience. Jordan Peterson is a Canadian clinical psychologist, professor of psychology, and public intellectual known for his work on personality, cultural narratives, and the psychology of meaning. Born in 1962, Peterson gained international recognition through his lectures and debates on topics such as free speech, responsibility, and individual liberty. With a background in both academic research and clinical practice, he has helped thousands of people confront life's challenges and find purpose. His books, lectures, and podcasts have inspired millions worldwide, making him one of the most influential contemporary thinkers in psychology and self-development. Introduction and Rule 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Jordan Peterson opens 12 Rules for Life, an antidote to chaos, by explaining the book's purpose: to help people navigate the complexities of life by providing guiding principles rooted in psychology, biology, history, and personal experience. Life, Peterson argues, is inherently filled with suffering, uncertainty, and chaos. Yet it is also full of potential meaning and beauty, which can only be fully realized when individuals take responsibility for their existence. The book seeks to give practical tools for living a balanced, purposeful life, one that integrates order and chaos while fostering growth, courage, and resilience. Peterson draws heavily on the concept of order and chaos, 2 fundamental forces shaping human experience. Order represents structure, tradition, and predictability, offering security and stability. Chaos symbolizes uncertainty, novelty, and the unknown, which can be both frightening and a source of opportunity. A meaningful life, according to Peterson, is not found in avoiding chaos or clinging rigidly to order, but in balancing both, stepping forward courageously into the unknown while maintaining enough structure to stay grounded. The introduction also establishes a key theme of the book: personal responsibility as the antidote to suffering and resentment. Peterson critiques modern tendencies toward nihilism, cynicism, and blaming external forces for one's misfortunes. He insists that individuals have far more power to improve their lives than they often believe, but doing so requires honesty, discipline, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about oneself and the world. The 12 rules offered in the book are not arbitrary self-help tips, but deep principles drawn from evolutionary biology, ancient wisdom, and Peterson's experience as a clinical psychologist. Rule 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. The first rule emphasizes the importance of posture, both physically and metaphorically. Peterson begins by referencing the behavior of lobsters, whose dominance hierarchies mirror those of many other species, including humans. When lobsters fight for territory and resources, their success affects their brain chemistry and posture. Victorious lobsters stand tall, confident, and prepared to face new challenges, while defeated ones slump and withdraw, making future success less likely. Humans, Peterson argues, operate similarly. Body language influences not only how others perceive us, but also how we perceive ourselves. Standing up straight with shoulders back signals confidence and readiness, setting off positive feedback loops in social interactions. People who project strength and self-assurance are more likely to attract allies, avoid exploitation, and navigate life effectively. Conversely, those who adopt a defeated posture invite further setbacks, reinforcing cycles of fear, weakness, and avoidance. Beyond the physical posture, Rule 1 is about psychological stance. Life is inherently difficult, filled with struggle, injustice, and unavoidable suffering. One can choose to collapse under this burden or face it with courage. Standing up straight is a symbolic act of embracing responsibility, confronting life's challenges. Rather than retreating into victimhood or despair, by voluntarily taking on responsibility, individuals begin to organize their lives, improve their circumstances, and build resilience against chaos. Peterson notes that modern society often encourages passivity, self-deprecation, or avoidance of conflict, leaving many people adrift in meaninglessness. Rule 1 pushes against this trend, advocating for assertiveness and active engagement with the world. Adopting a posture of strength communicates to others and to oneself that you are prepared to face reality on its own terms. This is the first step toward personal transformation. The rule also ties into a broader evolutionary and social reality. Life is competitive, and hierarchies are unavoidable. While they can be harsh or unfair, withdrawing from them altogether leads to worse outcomes. By standing tall, both literally and figuratively, you increase your chances of thriving in the natural and social hierarchies that shape opportunities and well-being. In essence, Rule 1 is about choosing courage over defeat. It is a call to stop hiding, stop shrinking away from responsibility, and start positioning yourself to face life head-on. Physical posture becomes a gateway to mental strength, setting the tone for personal growth and improved relationships. This rule lays the foundation for all the others. Before you can put your life in order, you must first decide to show up as someone capable of doing it. Rule 2. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Jordan Peterson begins this rule by pointing out a curious fact. People are often better at caring for others, such as their pets, friends, or children, than they are at caring for themselves. Many neglect their health, sabotage their potential, and allow bad habits or harmful relationships to persist, even when they know better. The core message of this rule is that you must learn to value yourself and act in your own best interest, just as you would for someone you love and wish to protect. Peterson explores the psychological reasons for self-neglect. One is a feeling of unworthiness. Many people, deep down, believe they don't deserve happiness or success because of past mistakes or internalized guilt. Another reason is self-sabotage, where individuals avoid taking positive actions for fear of failure or because they've grown comfortable with misery. These attitudes prevent people from giving themselves the same compassion and discipline they would naturally extend to others. Peterson uses the example of medication adherence. patients are statistically more likely to give their pets prescribed medicine on time than to take their own medication. This illustrates how people often treat others as more deserving of care than themselves. Peterson argues that this mindset is flawed because, as a human being, you are not just an isolated individual. You are a valuable part of creation, someone capable of doing good in the world. Neglecting yourself deprives the world of your potential contributions. Caring for yourself properly is not about indulging every desire or avoiding discomfort. True self-care is about doing what is right for you, even when it is difficult, just as a responsible caregiver would do for someone else. This might mean eating healthily instead of giving in to junk food, exercising even when you don't feel like it, or setting boundaries with people who harm you. It involves respecting your future self and making sacrifices now to build a better life tomorrow. Ultimately, this rule is about self-respect and responsibility. You have a moral obligation to take care of yourself, because your life matters not just to you, but to those around you and to the broader fabric of existence. By treating yourself as someone you must protect and nurture, you begin to live more intentionally, build strength, and avoid unnecessary suffering. Rule 3. Make friends with people who want the best for you. In Rule 3, Peterson emphasizes the profound influence of the people you choose to surround yourself with. Human beings are deeply social creatures, and the quality of one's relationships often determines the trajectory of one's life. Unfortunately, many people stay entangled in toxic or destructive relationships, often out of loyalty, pity, or fear of loneliness. These connections can drag you down, preventing personal growth and keeping you stuck in harmful patterns. Peterson argues that true friendship is built on mutual support, honesty, and shared striving toward something good. A real friend wants to see you flourish. They encourage your positive qualities, celebrate your successes, and stand by you in hardship, not out of obligation, but genuine goodwill. In contrast, false friends or negative companions may subtly sabotage your progress, encourage your bad habits, or resent your growth because it threatens their own stagnant state. This rule is not a call to abandon people in need, but a reminder that you cannot save someone who refuses to help themselves. Staying close to those committed to self-destruction often pulls you into the same downward spiral. Helping others is noble, but not at the cost of your own stability and potential. Healthy friendships are reciprocal. Both parties push each other toward higher standards, shared purpose, and better lives. Peterson notes that many people stay in bad relationships out of misplaced compassion or fear. But the truth is, you have a responsibility to yourself to choose friends who inspire you to grow, who challenge you honestly, and who celebrate, not resent, your achievements. When you surround yourself with people striving for the best, their momentum lifts you up just as your progress supports theirs. This rule ties back to personal responsibility. You choose who enters your life and how much influence they have over you. By deliberately forming bonds with people who genuinely wish for your good, you create a network of encouragement and accountability that helps you stay on a meaningful path. Together, Rules 2 and 3 emphasize self-respect and the power of relationships. You cannot live a good life if you treat yourself as worthless, or if you let others pull you away from your highest potential. Caring for yourself and carefully choosing your companions form the foundation for building a life of purpose, resilience, and genuine happiness. Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Peterson begins this rule by pointing out that many people measure their success and self-worth by comparing themselves to others. In the age of social media and constant exposure to other people's achievements, this tendency has intensified. We see others' highlights, their wealth, status, beauty, or talents, and inevitably feel inadequate. This form of comparison leads to envy, resentment, and self-criticism, poisoning our mindset and preventing true growth. Peterson argues that this habit is fundamentally flawed because everyone's circumstances, abilities, and life paths are different. You do not have the same starting point, challenges, or opportunities as the person you're comparing yourself to. Judging yourself against them ignores the complexity of individual lives and sets an unrealistic standard for success. Instead, Peterson encourages you to shift your focus inward and measure your progress against your own past self. Ask yourself, am I better today than I was yesterday? Have I improved even slightly? This approach makes growth personal, attainable, and meaningful. It keeps your attention on what you can control, your actions, habits, and mindset, rather than uncontrollable external factors. Peterson introduces the idea of incremental improvement. Large transformations in life rarely happen overnight. They result from consistent small steps forward. Comparing yourself only to your past allows you to celebrate these small victories and stay motivated to continue improving. This principle also fosters self-compassion. Instead of berating yourself for not being good enough, you recognize your ongoing efforts and progress. Peterson emphasizes that life is not a competition with others, but a personal journey of becoming the best version of yourself. Comparing to others leads to bitterness or arrogance, depending on where you think you stand. Comparing to yourself fosters humility, patience, and a sustainable path to growth. Rule 5. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. This rule addresses parenting and the importance of discipline, boundaries, and respect in raising well-adjusted children. Peterson begins by noting that children, like all human beings, test limits. They push boundaries to understand where they end and where others begin. This is not inherently bad. It's part of learning social norms, but it becomes harmful if parents fail to guide children toward acceptable behavior. Peterson critiques modern parenting trends that avoid confrontation, discipline, or saying no to children out of fear of hurting their feelings or stifling creativity. He argues that this permissiveness does not lead to freedom or happiness. Instead, it produces children who are undisciplined, impulsive, and socially rejected. A child who never learns boundaries will face constant negative feedback from the world, which is far harsher than parental discipline. Peterson makes a provocative statement. If you allow your children to act in ways that make you dislike them, you are doing them and yourself a disservice. Children need love, but they also need guidance. If their behavior makes them unpleasant to be around, others, teachers, peers, future partners will eventually reject or resent them. Early intervention through firm yet fair discipline ensures they develop behaviors that foster healthy relationships and social success. The rule is not about authoritarian control or cruelty, but about teaching children responsibility and consideration for others. Parents must have the courage to correct misbehavior, enforce rules, and provide clear consequences. even if it causes temporary conflict or discomfort. This structure helps children learn self-control, empathy, and how to navigate the social world successfully. Peterson also notes that parenting is a two-way relationship. A household where children dominate or manipulate parents creates tension, resentment, and instability. It's better for everyone, parent, child, and society, if parents establish order early, fostering respect, harmony, and mutual affection. Rule 6. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. In this rule, Peterson addresses a common human tendency, blaming external factors, society, politics, parents, or fate, for one's unhappiness or failure. He acknowledges that the world is full of suffering and injustice, sometimes deeply unfair and tragic. However, before attempting to reform society or pass judgment on the state of the world, Peterson argues that you should first put your own life in order. He draws on examples of individuals who, faced with trauma or personal catastrophe, turn to resentment, nihilism, or even violence. In his clinical experience and study of history, he observes that many acts of destructive rebellion stem from individuals unwilling or unable to confront their own chaos. Instead of improving themselves, they externalize blame, directing their anger at institutions, groups, or even existence itself. Peterson does not deny that the world is flawed, but he insists that you cannot hope to change it effectively if your own life is a mess. Setting your house in order means facing your problems directly, acknowledging personal failings, and taking responsibility for the suffering you may have caused yourself or others. It means cleaning up the small, controllable areas of your life, health, habits, relationships, work ethic before claiming authority to judge or reform grander systems. This rule is a call to humility and action. Instead of succumbing to bitterness or self-pity, begin where you have power yourself. By honestly confronting your shortcomings and improving your immediate world, you not only reduce personal suffering but also increase your ability to contribute positively to society. Real transformation of the world, Peterson argues, begins with the transformation of individuals. Rule 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. This rule strikes at the heart of Peterson's philosophy, the difference between meaning and expedience, as guiding principles for life. Expedience is the pursuit of short-term gain, comfort, or avoidance of pain, often at the cost of long-term growth or integrity. It's the path of least resistance lying to escape trouble, blaming others to protect one's ego, or indulging in destructive habits for temporary relief. Meaning, by contrast, requires responsibility, sacrifice, and courage. It is not about what feels good in the moment, but about building something valuable, lasting, and aligned with truth. Peterson draws on ancient wisdom, especially biblical narratives like Cain and Abel, to illustrate that rejecting responsibility leads to chaos, resentment, and suffering, while embracing it brings purpose and order. Meaningful pursuits often involve voluntarily facing hardship, caring for family, working diligently, speaking truth, striving toward noble goals. These actions demand effort and often entail pain, but they create lives of depth and fulfillment. Meaning gives people the strength to endure suffering, transforming it into something bearable, even redemptive. Peterson emphasizes that meaning is deeply connected to truth. To live meaningfully, you must confront reality honestly, without self-deception or cowardice. Lies may offer temporary relief, but they corrode your character and relationships. Meaning arises when you accept the full weight of existence, including its suffering, and choose to act responsibly despite it. He argues that every individual has the power to transform their life by pursuing meaning over expedience. The world is full of chaos and evil, but each person can contribute to its redemption by facing their suffering with courage, telling the truth, and aiming toward the highest good they can envision. This choice infuses life with purpose and combats the despair of nihilism. Rule 8. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Jordan Peterson begins this rule with a simple but profound principle. Truth is the foundation of a meaningful and stable life. Lies, on the other hand, distort reality, lead to chaos, and destroy trust. Peterson argues that lying is fundamentally an act of cowardice, a refusal to face the complexity and difficulty of life honestly. Lies are often told to avoid conflict, to protect ego, or to manipulate outcomes, but they inevitably create deeper problems over time. Peterson draws on his experience as a clinical psychologist, observing how people's lives unravel when they live dishonestly. Small lies accumulate, creating a fragile web that eventually collapses, harming both the liar and those around them. Lies disconnect individuals from reality, making it impossible to navigate life effectively because their perception of the world becomes skewed. In essence, lies create a false map of reality, and living by it leads to ruin. Telling the truth is not always easy or comfortable. It often involves admitting mistakes, facing painful realities, or saying things that others may not want to hear. However, truth builds strength, integrity, and trust, allowing relationships and personal character to grow on solid ground. Peterson emphasizes that telling the truth does not mean being brutally harsh or tactless. It means refusing to distort reality for convenience or personal gain. When you cannot fully articulate the truth, Peterson suggests the fallback rule, at least don't lie. Principle prevents the damage that falsehoods cause while allowing you time to seek clarity and understanding. Speaking truthfully aligns you with reality, enabling genuine progress in life and fostering authentic connections with others. Rule 9. Assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. This rule centers on humility, open-mindedness, and the power of listening. Many people approach conversations not to learn, but to assert their opinions, win arguments, or appear knowledgeable. In doing so, they close themselves off to insights that could expand their understanding of the world. Peterson argues that every person you meet knows something you don't, whether it's a life experience, a skill, a perspective, or a piece of information that you lack. If you listen carefully, you can discover something valuable, even from people you may disagree with or underestimate. Listening requires genuine curiosity and willingness to be changed by what you hear, not just waiting for your turn to speak. He highlights that good conversations are collaborative explorations of truth, not battles for dominance. When two people truly listen to each other, both may leave with a deeper understanding than either had alone. But this requires setting aside arrogance, prejudgments, and the desire to win. It demands a mindset of humility, acknowledging that you do not know everything and that others can contribute to your growth. Peterson also points out that many people struggle with their own thoughts and emotions, and having someone listen carefully helps them clarify their ideas. As a clinical psychologist, he has seen how people often discover the truth about their own lives only while speaking openly to a patient, attentive listener. By genuinely listening, you not only learn but also help others make sense of their experiences. This rule promotes mutual respect and connection. Conversations become more meaningful when both parties are committed to seeking understanding rather than asserting dominance. Assuming that others know something you don't fosters empathy, reduces conflict, and creates opportunities for wisdom to emerge collectively. Rule 10. Be precise in your speech. Peterson begins this rule by emphasizing the power of language in shaping how we understand and interact with reality. Words are not just tools for communication. They are instruments for bringing order to chaos. When we speak imprecisely, avoiding specifics, making vague statements, or refusing to name a problem, we leave issues unresolved and allow confusion and disorder to grow. Life is filled with complexities, challenges, and emotional turmoil. Many people avoid addressing their problems directly because it feels uncomfortable or because they fear conflict. They might say something's wrong in my life without pinpointing exactly what. Peterson argues that problems left undefined cannot be solved. To improve your life, you must clearly articulate what's wrong, what you want, and what you're willing to do to change it. Precision in speech also improves relationships. Misunderstandings and resentment often arise because people fail to express their feelings or needs clearly. They hint, sulk, or expect others to read their minds. This vagueness leads to unnecessary conflict and emotional distance. Peterson encourages confronting issues head-on, saying what you mean, and negotiating openly. This does not guarantee that conversations will be easy, but it makes progress possible. Furthermore, precise speech helps to define reality truthfully, reducing uncertainty and anxiety. Naming. Your fears, doubts, and obstacles transforms them from vague, overwhelming threats into concrete challenges you can face. Without this clarity, life's problems seem insurmountable, and chaos grows unchecked. Ultimately, this rule is about courage. It takes bravery to tell the truth clearly and directly, especially when it risks upsetting others or forcing you to change. But the alternative, living in a fog of unspoken truths and half-lies, is far worse, leading to confusion, stagnation, and pain. Precision in speech is a tool for building order, understanding, and harmony in your life and relationships. Rule 11. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. On the surface, this rule appears trivial, but Peterson uses it to explore deeper themes of risk, courage, resilience, and the development of competence. Skateboarding is inherently risky. Children fall, get bruised, and sometimes get hurt. Peterson argues that trying to eliminate all risk from children's play does more harm than good. Overprotective adults, driven by fear and excessive caution, often deny children opportunities to develop strength, confidence, and independence. Life is inherently dangerous. Trying to shield children completely from risk leaves them unprepared for the real world, where danger, failure, and hardship are unavoidable. Through risky play, children learn to push their limits, assess danger, recover from failure, and build resilience. These experiences are essential for becoming competent and courageous adults. Peterson critiques cultural tendencies toward over-safety and over-regulation, particularly toward boys, who often seek out physical challenges and competitive play. Suppressing these natural instincts can stifle their development, leading to weakness, timidity, or rebellion in harmful forms later in life. The lesson is not about reckless risk-taking, but about allowing children the freedom to test themselves and grow stronger through trial and error. This rule also reflects a broader point about human nature. True confidence and capability are forged through struggle and risk, not comfort and safety. Attempts to create a perfectly secure environment lead to fragility, not strength. Adults, too, must sometimes accept danger and uncertainty to grow. Life's challenges cannot be avoided without sacrificing potential. Peterson's advice, then, is to resist the impulse to micromanage or overprotect children when they engage in manageable risks. Let them climb, run, skateboard, and face small dangers, because these experiences prepare them for the larger, inevitable dangers of adulthood. Growth requires risk. Competence requires facing fear. Rule 12. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Peterson concludes his book with a rule that appears deceptively simple, but carries profound meaning. In the midst of life's unavoidable suffering, take moments to appreciate small pockets of beauty and peace. Life, he reminds readers, is filled with pain, tragedy, and injustice. Illness strikes without warning. Loved ones die, and chaos can overwhelm us despite our best efforts. While the earlier rules focus on responsibility, courage, and personal growth, this final rule teaches how to endure suffering when it cannot be eliminated. Peterson shares personal stories, particularly about his young daughter's struggle with a severe, life-threatening illness. During this time, Peterson and his family faced overwhelming stress, uncertainty, and grief. Amid this darkness, he found solace in small, fleeting moments of joy, such as noticing the beauty of nature, appreciating kindness from others, or literally stopping to pet a cat on the street. These moments didn't erase suffering, but made it bearable, offering a reminder that life still contains goodness even when chaos dominates. The deeper message is about mindfulness and gratitude. When life feels unbearable, it's easy to become consumed by pain and despair, losing sight of everything else. But even during the worst times, small, meaningful experiences can provide relief and perspective. They remind us that beauty, love, and wonder persist alongside tragedy, and they offer glimpses of hope that can sustain us through hardship. Peterson does not present this as an escapist strategy or a way to ignore suffering. Instead, it's a form of courageous acceptance, acknowledging that pain is real and often unavoidable, but refusing to let it define every moment of existence. By noticing and appreciating the small good things, we reaffirm life's value even in the face of chaos. Conclusion: order, chaos, and the path to a meaningful life. In his closing reflections, Peterson brings together the themes of the book. Life is suffering, yet meaning can redeem it. The world is a delicate balance of order and chaos, stability and unpredictability. Too much order leads to tyranny, stagnation, and lifeless routine. Too much chaos leads to fear, uncertainty, and despair. A good life is not about eliminating either force, but about walking the line between them, courageously facing chaos while building enough structure to thrive. Peterson emphasizes personal responsibility as the antidote to suffering and nihilism. The modern world often tempts people towards cynicism, blaming external forces, or seeking comfort in fleeting pleasures. But meaning, Peterson argues, comes from voluntarily accepting responsibility for oneself, one's family, one's community, and the world. This is a heavy burden, but it transforms life from unbearable tragedy to purposeful struggle. Throughout the 12 rules, Peterson calls readers to stand tall, care for themselves and others, speak truth, listen deeply, pursue meaning over convenience, set their houses in order, raise disciplined children, allow risk for growth, and cherish small joys. Each rule builds toward the ultimate message. You cannot avoid pain and chaos, but you can face them with integrity, courage, and purpose, creating a life worth living despite its hardships. The book ends on a realistic but hopeful note. Existence is fragile and tragic, yet it contains immense beauty and potential. By living truthfully, responsibly, and meaningfully, individuals can bring order to their corner of the world, inspire others, and contribute to the ongoing struggle to transform suffering into something noble and good. Life will never be easy, but it can be profound, and that makes the effort worthwhile. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. If this summary gave you something to think about or inspired you in any way, please give it a like and subscribe to Mindful Reads for more deep dives into life-changing books. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep reading with purpose.